Okay, it has been confirmed that we're getting 2 sequels to the 2018 Halloween movie starring Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm like super pumped about this. I'm a huge horror movie fan. I feel like Michael Myers is one of the scariest horror movie villains of all time. I grew up on Halloween movies. I love all the Halloween movies. Now there are some that I like more than others, but for the most part, Halloween movies have always been my shit. Now the first sequel comes out this October. It's called Halloween Kills, starring Jamie Lee Curtis. And then next October, we're getting the second sequel, Halloween Ends, starring Jamie Lee Curtis. Apparently it's a Halloween trilogy, and I'm like super excited for it. If I have to go to the movie theaters by myself, I'm going to watch these 2 sequels when they come out, as soon as they come out. Before I go any further, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it so you can receive notifications every time I upload a video. My name's Justin Ray, and this is a review to the 2018 Halloween movie starring Jamie Lee Curtis. Now I purchased the 2018 Halloween movie, and the first time I watched it, I didn't like this movie at all. There was just so many things about this movie that I didn't like, especially as far as like the characters go, but since then I've watched it like 4 or 5 times, and the movie has grown on me quite a bit. I actually really like this movie now. I give this movie a 3 out of 5 rating. If I would have rated this movie the first time I seen it, I probably would have given it a 0, but I like the movie quite a bit now, and I'm just gonna run through it real quick and give you guys the main rundown of this movie, and you guys can make up your own mind if you want to see this movie or not. Okay, this movie picks up from where the original 1978 Halloween movie ended. It ignores all the sequels in between this movie and that movie, so you can kind of pretty much look at this movie as Halloween Part 2, but it continues 40 years later. According to this story, at the end of number 1, Michael Myers was apprehended and he was put in a mental institution, and he's been there for 40 years. So in the beginning of this movie, 2 journalists who are making a podcast about the Michael Myers killings go to the institution where Michael Myers is being kept at. In fact, a little bit of this scene is actually in the trailer of the movie when you see the guy holding up the mask standing behind Michael Myers. Now the original Michael Myers was played by Nick Castle. In this movie, Nick Castle actually puts the mask back on and has a couple scenes as Michael Myers. I think he does 1 or 2 scenes, but the majority of Michael Myers is played by James Jude Courtney, and I must say he does a fantastic job playing Michael Myers in this movie. He's very scary, he does all the mannerisms right, and he's just like the perfect Michael Myers. Now Michael Myers is an older man in this movie. You can actually see from the backside of Michael Myers that he's got like gray hair and he's balding, and he looks like he's like a 60-year-old man. So Michael Myers is older in this movie. Like I said, this movie takes place 40 years from where the original Halloween ended off. So Laurie Strode's pretty much like a paranoid shut-in. She's become a hermit. She's booby-trapped her house. She's just been so paranoid. She's just lived her whole life being paranoid and afraid that Michael Myers is going to come after her. So she booby-traps her whole entire house. She's completely demolished the relationship with her daughter and her granddaughter. But in this movie, her granddaughter longs for that relationship with her grandmother, Laurie Strode. This story centers around Laurie Strode's daughter and granddaughter and them kind of getting that relationship back. In the first half of the movie, Laurie Strode's daughter doesn't want anything to do with her, but like I said, the granddaughter wants to have that relationship with Laurie Strode, so she goes and calls her. These podcasters show up at Laurie Strode's house talking about Michael Myers, so they pay Laurie Strode $3,000. You guys remember in the original Halloween movie when Laurie Strode is sitting in the classroom, she looks out the window and Michael Myers is just standing out there watching her? Well, in this movie, the roles have been reversed. Laurie Strode's granddaughter is in her classroom daydreaming. She looks out the window, and Laurie Strode's standing outside looking at her through the window, just like Michael did to her in the original Halloween. I thought that was pretty cool. So Laurie Strode's granddaughter goes outside to talk with her grandmother, and her grandmother gives her the $3,000 that the journalist gave her. She said, take this $3,000, do whatever you want with it. So Laurie's granddaughter takes it. She's got an honor society event coming up, and she invites her grandmother to it. At the Honor Society event, Laurie Strode shows up and she starts drinking, and her daughter's all like, you know what, Mom, this is why we don't reach out, because you're such a nut job, blah, 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 blah. Laurie Strode has a lot of mental problems in this movie because she's been traumatized by the events that happened in 1978. We're introduced to Michael Myers' new doctor in this movie, Dr. Sartain. Laurie Strode refers to him as the new Loomis, but he's the complete opposite of Dr. Loomis. Dr. Loomis was the type of doctor to go hunt Michael Myers down and kill him. This Dr. Sartain is the type who wants to let him loose and study Michael Myers. Like, he wants Michael Myers out there causing all that mayhem so he can study him. He's a sick and twisted doctor. He's sort of like Dr. Frankenstein. So Michael Myers has to be transported to a different institution. So they load him up on the bus. They load Michael Myers up on the bus with his doctor and a lot of other patients that I guess got to be transported. Laurie Strode knows exactly the day and time that he has to be transported. She sits in her car and starts drinking all these mini shots, and she's like worried that Michael Myers is going to escape. She's like completely paranoid and afraid of Michael Myers. Michael Myers' doctor causes the bus to crash so Michael Myers can escape. and go out there and like fuck shit up. Like I said, his doctor's the type who wants to free Michael Myers out there so he can study him. He's a sick, twisted bastard. So Michael Myers escapes from the bus. The one journalist had the Michael Myers mask in his book bag. So Michael hunts them down, kills them both, goes in the trunk of their car, and pulls out the mask, and he puts the mask on, and that's how Michael Myers gets his mask back. Now, this Michael Myers looks exactly like the Michael Myers from the original movie, except the mask is like withered away a little bit. James Jude Courtney does like a fantastic job as Michael Myers in this movie, and I can understand why they're making 2 sequels to this movie, because he did a fantastic job. Michael Myers makes it back to Haddonfield. All the little kids are trick-or-treating. In fact, 2 trick-or-treaters end up running right into Michael Myers, and they look up at him, and Michael Myers isn't even paying these little kids any mind. So Michael Myers makes his way into this lady's garage, and he finds a ball peen hammer. He goes in this lady's house while she's cooking dinner, and he goes in the kitchen. You don't see it because the wall has obstructed the view, but he walks into her kitchen and just starts beating the shit out of her with the hammer. You can't see it, but you can hear like him hitting her in the head with the hammer. You see like kitchen chairs flying all over the place, and then the camera pans in the kitchen, and you see her sitting at her kitchen table with her head bashed in. Michael Myers drops the hammer, and he walks up and grabs a kitchen knife. He goes right next door to another woman's house who's looking out the window. He walks right up to her while she's peeking out the blinds, grabs her by her hair and smacks her head up against the wall, and then sticks a knife right through her neck. I thought it was interesting how we got an off-camera death with the ball peen hammer, and then right after that, Michael goes into her neighbor's house and kills this lady right in front of the audience. It was interesting how they did that. There's some good cinematography in this movie. Pretty much, Michael Myers is just trying to find his way to Laurie Strode. I mean, there wasn't all kinds of crazy plot twists in this movie. There was some bad acting, I will admit, but pretty much the storyline is Michael Myers is looking for Laurie Strode, and Laurie Strode is waiting for Michael so she can kill him. Laurie Strode's house is all booby-trapped with like all these traps and like she has all these guns and shit in her house, all these lights surrounding her house. Like, she's waiting for Michael to come back. So Laurie Strode and her daughter make it back to Laurie Strode's house. The granddaughter is out. She gets picked up by the sheriff and Dr. Sartain, and they're driving around looking for Michael Myers. They finally see Michael Myers, and the sheriff runs over him with his car, and the doctor's all concerned like, "Oh, don't kill my patient, don't kill Michael." So the doctor gets out to look at Michael Myers, and he lies to the sheriff. He's like, "Yeah, you killed him." So the sheriff pulls out his gun. He wants to put a bullet in Michael's head. So Dr. Sartain pulls out this little knife and starts stabbing the sheriff. He kills the sheriff, and then Dr. Sartain puts Michael's mask on and drags Michael's body into the cop car and puts Michael in the back seat of the cop car with Laurie Strode's granddaughter. Now, Laurie Strode's granddaughter wants to get the hell out of there, so she lies and tells the doctor that Michael Myers just spoke to her. She says, "If you let me out, I'll tell you what Michael said." So he stops the car. Michael Myers wakes up, and he breaks out of the cop car, pulls the doctor out, and fucks him up. While the doctor's laying on the ground, he looks up at Michael, and he's like, "Say something." And then Michael just like stomps on his head and just fucking smashes his head like a watermelon. So the granddaughter gets out of the cop car and she runs off. Michael Myers finally makes it back to Laurie Strode's house, where Laurie Strode, her daughter, and her husband is. The husband goes outside for something, and Michael Myers strangles him. So Laurie Strode looks out the window, and she's like, "Okay, Michael's here, Michael's here. Get in the basement, get in the basement." She's got this safe haven in the basement. It's under like a kitchen table island where you can hit this button, and it like retracts and opens up. And there's like a little safe haven that you can go downstairs. It looks like a little bomb shelter. So she puts her daughter down there. So Michael Myers ends up getting in the house, and him and Laurie Strode are going at it. Michael Myers throws Laurie Strode off the balcony. Now, if you guys remember in the original Halloween movie, at the end when Dr. Loomis shot up Michael Myers, he fell over the balcony, and when they went to go look over the edge, Michael Myers was gone. Well, this happened in this movie, but like I said, the roles are reversed. He threw Laurie Strode over the balcony, and then Laurie Strode's granddaughter comes into the house, and when Michael Myers hears the door shut, he looks over his shoulder, and then he looks back over the balcony, and Laurie Strode's gone. I thought that was cool that they did that. They did the little role reversal thing. So Laurie Strode's daughter calls the granddaughter downstairs into that little safe haven with her. Now, Laurie Strode has like a gun rack in this safe haven with like 50 guns, rifles, shotguns, handguns, everything. She's like armed to the teeth in this safe haven. Laurie Strode's daughter starts crying like, "Mom, help us, help us. I can't shoot him. I just can't do it." So Michael Myers shows up, and then she's like, "Haha, gotcha." And then she blows his ass away. Remember in the original one when Laurie Strode was in the closet and Michael Myers' face just like slowly appeared into view? After Michael Myers gets shot by Laurie Strode's daughter, Laurie Strode's face comes into view, and she's like, "Happy Halloween, Michael." And then she just starts fucking his ass up. So they lure Michael Myers down into this little safe haven, and they finally make it up. Laurie Strode, her daughter, and her granddaughter make it upstairs. with Michael Myers still down in the little safe haven. And this is when you find out that it wasn't a safe haven. It was actually a trap for Michael Myers. Once they have Michael Myers down there, Laurie Strode pulls this lever and it locks Michael Myers down there. Laurie Strode starts hitting these buttons on this thing, and you see all these gas lines and gas pipes rigged in that whole basement. And then they light a match and throw it down there, and they literally burn this motherfucker alive. Michael Myers can't get out. He's just sitting there at the bottom of the steps looking up at Laurie's daughter and her granddaughter, and there's nothing he can do. He's just staring at them like, while the fire comes behind him, and he's just burning up. He's just burning alive. He knew that they had him beat, so he just stands there and just like stares at Laurie Strode with like this fucked up stare while the fire consumes him. I mean, it was crazy, man. Like, they burned his ass alive, and the whole time you're thinking it was a little bomb shelter or a little safe haven for Laurie Strode and her family, but come to find out it was a trap for Michael Myers the entire time. So Laurie, her daughter, and granddaughter make it outside, and then they go run down some guy driving by. They get in the back of the truck, and then the camera pans on Laurie Strode's granddaughter holding a knife, and then the credits come on. Credits start rolling, they're playing the music, and then after the credits were over, you hear Michael Myers breathing through his mask. You hear like a... So it lets us know that Michael didn't die and that there would be a sequel, which was pretty cool. I give the movie a 3 out of 5. Like I said, I didn't like it at first, but the movie has grown on me quite a bit. I can't wait until Halloween Kills comes out and Halloween ends. My name's Justin Ray. Do me a favor and hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it so you can receive notifications every time I upload a video. I definitely didn't love this movie, but I enjoyed watching it, and I look forward to the 2 sequels. You guys have a good day. I'll catch you guys on this side or the other side. Peace, motherfuckers.